Bulbasaur, the grass-type Pokémon starter from Blue and Red, shares a resemblance with a four-limb amphibian. It's the very first starter, and its name, Bulbasaur, is derived from onion bulb and frog. The onion bit is because it comes with a green plant bulb on its back. This bulb gives it energy through photosynthesis and the nutrient-rich seeds contained within. When it's time for the Bulbasaur to evolve, its bulb flashes blue. And despite its resistance, it first evolves into an Ivysaur, a dual-type grass-poison Pokémon with a giant pink bud on its back, then into a Venusaur. Venusaur is also a dual-type Pokémon like the Ivysaur, but the Venusaur can come in two forms, a Mega Venusaur and a Gigantamax Venusaur. Each depends on the means of evolution used by the Pokémon. Charmander. This is a Pokémon present in Generation 1 Pokémon Red and Blue, and the remakes Pokémon Fire Red and Leaf Green. Charmander is a fire-type Pokémon starter that looks like a reptile. Its tail has a burning flame at its tip. This flame must never go out. It only does when it's dead. Its name is derived from these features. Char, which means something burnt, is due to its burning tail, and Mander is from salamander because it resembles the reptile. This Pokémon first evolves into a chameleon, then into a Charizard. Charizard is a dual-type fire or flying type that can also Mega evolve into a Mega Charizard X using Charizardite X and Mega Charizard Y using Charizardite Y. Squirtle. This water-type Pokémon was also introduced in Generation 1 Pokémon Red and Blue. It's similar to a turtle. Along with Bulbasaur and Charmander, it was one of the three partner Pokémon of Kanto. It has a shell that serves as a good source of protection. And as a water-type Pokémon, it has torrent abilities in which it sprays foamy water from its mouth with incredible speed. This is why it's called a Squirtle, a turtle which can squirt out water. The Squirtle evolves into a larger Pokémon known as the Wartortle. Then it evolves into an even larger creature known as Blastoise. Blastoise comes in two forms, the Mega Blastoise that exists through the use of the Blastoisinite, and the Gigantamax Blastoise that comes to be due to the Gigantamax factor. Pikachu. The world's most popular Pokémon is an electric-type Pokémon introduced in Generation 1 Pokémon Yellow. It stores electricity in its cheek, and if angered, it absolves the energy and releases it at its target. Its tail also generates electricity. Pulling on a Pikachu's tail will automatically send an electric shock to the perpetrator. This Pokémon also can create a lightning storm. Its name is derived from the imitation of the sizzling sound of electricity known as Pika in Japanese. It evolves into a Raichu when exposed to a Thunderstone. Eevee. This normal type of Pokémon was introduced in Generation 1 Pokémon Red and Blue. It is capable of evolving into 8 different forms due to an irregularity in its genetic code that is altered by the environment. However, it requires an evolution stone to evolve. Its name, Eevee, is derived from evolution due to its ability to evolve. When exposed to a water stone, it becomes a Vaporeon. A Thunderstone changes it to a Jolteon, and a Firestone converts it to a Flareon. When it's extremely happy during the daytime, it becomes an Espeon, then an Umbreon when it happens at nighttime. It becomes a Leafeon when leveled up near a Moss Rock or Leaf Stone. When leveled up near an Ice Rock, it becomes a Glaceon, then a Sylveon when it achieves 2 levels of affection or bonding. However, if an Eevee is in its Gigantamax form, it cannot evolve. Chikorita. Introduced in Generation 2, Pokémon Gold and Silver, this grass-type Pokémon has a large green leaf on top of its head that has calming abilities. A soothing aroma is emitted from the leaf, which calms any battling Pokémon. This leaf is also used to detect changes in temperature and humidity. Its name is derived from the plant chicory. It evolves into Bayleaf, which also evolves into Meganium. Bayleaf has several leaves around its neck, and the aroma emitted from it has a combination of energizing, stimulating, and healing effects. Meganium has flowery petals encircling its neck. The petals also release a calming aroma, and its breath has regenerative powers. Totodile. This small crocodile-like Pokémon was introduced in Generation 2 Pokémon Gold and Silver as a water-type starter. Despite its small size, this Pokémon can crush anything in its path, making it a dangerous creature during battle. Its name is a combination of Tot and Crocodile, which translates to Little Crocodile. It evolves into a Croconaw and then a Feraligatr. Croconaw has 48 fangs lining its mouth, so you know it's a more lethal crusher. Feraligatr has powerful jaws used to intimidate and viciously bite its foes. It's so agile and fast that any enemy in its path might not survive. Cyndaquil. This is a Generation 2 Pokemon Gold and Silver Fire-type Pokemon with 4 red circles on its back that can erupt into flames. It defends itself with this flame, and the angrier it gets, the more defensive it becomes. Its firepower is very lethal, and when it evolves, it becomes even more powerful. Its name is derived from a combination of Cinder and Quill. This Pokemon evolves into a Kilava, then a Typhlosion. Kilava has 5 red spots on its back, and during battle it turns its back so that the flame faces its opponent. It combines this firepower with the guts of superheated air. Typhlosion, on the other hand, is capable of making anything go up in flames. When fully enraged, anything it touches explodes. Treecko. It's a grass-type starter Pokemon introduced in the Generation 3 of the series, Ruby and Sapphire. This reptilian Pokemon has a large dark green tail with 2 separate lobes that it uses to sense humidity. This allows it to predict the next day's weather. It's territorial in nature, and for this reason, it's a good protector of forest trees. Its name is due to its immense resemblance to a gecko and its grass-type nature. It evolves into a Grovyle and then a Sceptile. Grovyle shares strong similarities with a theropod dinosaur. It has 3 long leaves on its wrist, a large leaf on its head, and 2 leaf-like tails. This leafy appearance helps it camouflage in the forest. It also has well-developed muscles that make it an expert climber. Sceptile can easily slice down trees, but it's a nurturer, so it protects the forest. With the aid of a Sceptilate, it can Mega Evolve into Mega Sceptile. Torchic. Torchic is a Fire-type first partner that appeared in Generation 3 games Ruby and Sapphire. This Pokemon stores its flame in its belly, and when attacked, it shoots fireballs of 1800 degrees Celsius at its enemies, leaving them scorched black. However, it becomes weak in darkness as it has poor sight in the nighttime. Its name is a combination of torch, as in fire, and chick. It evolves into Combusken and later into Blaziken. Combusken is known for its powerful kicks that have extremely destructive power. Blaziken is so powerful that it jumps over a 30-story building with ease. It also has gray wristband-like markings on its wrists that are capable of producing fire. Its ankle can also emit flames. Mudkip. In the Generation 3 games Ruby and Sapphire, Mudkip was introduced. This water-type first partner Pokemon has a large head with a blue fin and a light blue tail fin. It uses the fin on its head to detect changes in air and water currents, while its tail fin provides powerful acceleration for movement through water. It is a very strong Pokemon and is capable of moving or crushing boulders larger than itself. Its name was inspired by a mud skipper. It evolves into a Marshtomp and then a Swampert. Marshtomp can move fast, especially in muddy terrains, so it's easy for it to overwhelm struggling opponents in such an environment. Swampert is so strong it can easily move an enormous boulder, crush opponents, and swim faster than a jet ski. It can evolve into a Mega Swampert using the Swampertite. Turtwig. One of the first partner Pokemon in the Generation 4 games, Pokemon Diamond and Pearl. Turtwig is a grass-type creature. This plant-based Pokemon has a shell like a turtle and a small seedling growing on a brown patch on its head. This Pokemon nourishes itself through photosynthesis to become more energetic. Its hardened soil-based shell serves as a good shield during attacks. Its name is a derivative of a turtle and twig. This Pokemon evolves into a Grottle that has bush-like trees growing around the ridges of its shell. Grottle is a sort of helper that carries other Pokemon on its back to pure water wells. When the Grottle evolves, it becomes a Torterra. Torterra has a large shell covering its back, which has a single oak-like tree and 3 triangular, mountain-like structures on it. It has unmatched physical strength, and its large shell serves as a nest for several smaller Pokemon. Chimchar. Chimchar is a starter in Generation 4 Pokemon Diamond and Pearl. It's a Fire-type Pokemon that resembles a monkey. The fur of the Pokemon is majorly orange, but it has a small round red patch that is usually hidden by flames produced by burning gas in his stomach. It's basically a chimpanzee that can burn stuff, hence the name. It evolves into a fire-fighting type Pokemon, Monferno. Monferno has a flame on its tail, and it serves several purposes. It majorly serves as a tool to keep opponents at a good distance, or stretch to make the Monferno appear larger. The tail also aids the Pokemon to leap from ceilings or walls to perform aerial attacks. Piplup. This Generation 4 Pokemon Diamond and Pearl starter is a water-type penguin-like Pokemon. Piplup is covered in thick down feathers that allows it to survive in extremely cold weather. It has flipper-like arms and yellow feet that make it a good swimmer, a skill that comes in handy during attacks. Its name is derived from plop, the sound of a pebble hitting the water, and this might be due to its incredible swimming abilities. It evolves into a Prinplup, then an Empoleon. They are even more advanced swimmers. Snivy. This sassy-looking creature is a grass-type Pokémon that first appeared in the Generation 5 games Pokémon Black and White. The reptilian Pokémon has a body covered mostly in green, two curved yellow structures similar to leaves or small wings that stick out of its shoulder. It also has a large palmate leaf with 3 prongs on the end of its tail. This tail photosynthesizes and provides Snivy with the energy to move faster. It also uses its vines with incredible adaptive and dexterity skills. Snivy gets its name from being similar to the green vine snake. Snivy evolves into a Servine. This Pokémon also has 3 palmate leaves growing along its back and tail, which it uses to gain energy and also attack enemies. Serbean evolves into a Serperior. Serperior has a piercing glare that intimidates its foes. It also can amplify solar energy. Tepig. Don't mistake this for a cute little pig. It's a fire-wielding Pokémon that made its first appearance in the Generation 5 games Pokémon Black and White. This creature with orange fur has a thick snout bearing a yellow stripe that allows it to blow out fire. During the battle, it not only blows out snotty flames, but it also cloaks itself in flames to carry out its signature Heat Crashes move to destroy its opponent. Its name is obviously due to its physical similarities with a pig, but character-wise, there are no similarities. When it evolves, it becomes a Pignite that has a fire in its stomach. This fire is fueled with food, and the intensity of the flame grows when fuel is added or the Pokémon becomes angry. The more intense the flame becomes, the faster and more lethal Pignite becomes. If in danger, it will confuse its enemies with large black smoke. This Pignite evolves into an Emboar. Oshawott. This Generation 5 starter in Pokémon Black and White is a water-type creature that looks like a sea otter. Oshawott is covered in light blue fur that forms bubble shapes around its neck. It also carries a yellow seashell known as a Scalchop on its belly. The shell is made of the same tough material as its claws, making it a lethal weapon during battle. This Pokémon wields the shell like a knife during the attack and serves as a shield during the defense. If this shell goes missing, it can grow a new one from its navel in no time. Its name is a derivation of otter and water. It evolves into a Dewott that has 2 Scalchops on its thighs. These Scalchops are wielded with so much skill that a Dewott can defeat any enemy, even those who have mastered the art of swordsmanship, with ease. This Pokémon evolves into a Samurott. It has armor on its head and back and 2 swords called Scimitars used for attack and defense. Chespin. Chespin made its first appearance in the Generation 6 games X and Y. This bipedal grass-type mammalian Pokémon is covered in a tough green shell, which covers its head to halfway down its tail. There is a little hole in the shell on the back of its head and around its face. The shell has 4 spikes. Another spike, which is split into 3 parts, is also at the back of its head. The grass-type Pokémon's name is derived from hedgehog and chestnut. Its shell serves as a tool for defense, and the spikes on its head can act as weapons to attack. This Pokémon evolves into Quilladin, which evolves into Chestnut. Fennekin. This Generation 6 Pokémon X and Y starter is a fire-type fox-like creature. Fennekin has large ears covered with tufts of dark orange fur that reach the temperature of over 200 degrees Celsius when angry. Hot air is released from its ears and it uses it to intimidate opponents. Fennekin is inspired by a fox, Fennec Fox to be precise, so the name is a combination of Fennec and Kindle. The Fennekin evolves into a Braixen and then into a Delphox. Froakie. Froakie first made its appearance in the Generation 6 games X and Y. This water-type Pokémon produces a large mane of bubbles on its chest and back and has 2 small bubbles on its nose. These bubbles are known as Frubbles, and they serve as shields for the Pokémon during attacks. Its strategy in battle is to put up a facade of weakness and overwhelm its enemies with blinding speed when they let their guard down. It also attacks its enemies by throwing springy bubbles at their heads. Froakie is a frog that croaks, so its name is a perfect combination of both. It evolves into a Frogadier. This frog-like Pokémon is extremely swift and nimble. It can throw bubble-coated pebbles at targets up to 30 meters away and scale towers higher than 600 meters in 1 minute. It's an expert in battle strategy, so its Brigadier status is befitting. It evolves into a Greninja. This Pokémon can evolve into a special form known as Ash Greninja after defeating an enemy in battle. Rowlet. This grass-flying Pokémon is in the Generation 7 games Pokémon Sun and Moon. Rowlet has 2 leaves on its chest that resemble a bow tie and additional leaves on its tail and underside of its wings. This Pokémon attacks by approaching its opponent silently and then unleashing a volley of kicks. Its feathers, which are as sharp as blades, are also launched at enemies from air during battle. Its name is a combination of root and owlet because of its resemblance to a young owl. Its first evolved form is Datrix, which has blade quills hidden under its wings. These quills are propelled with mind-blowing precision during battle. Decidueye is the final evolved form. It's a grass ghost Pokémon that uses the vines on its chest as bowstrings to fire the arrow quills stored in its wing. It's not only quick, but CC can also strike targets over half a mile away with astounding accuracy. Litten. Introduced in the Generation 7 games Pokémon Sun and Moon, Litten is a Fire-type first partner Pokémon. This quadrupedal is covered in black fur that sheds off when it's being groomed. Its fur produces flammable oil while shedding, and it burns all its fur in a blaze. It also collects the fur it sheds off inside its stomach to be converted into fireballs during battle. It sets the fur ablaze inside its stomach, and the fireball changes based on how it coughs. It is named Litten due to its resemblance to a kitten and its ability to set things alight. Litten becomes a Torracat and then an Incineroar when it evolves. Torracat has a bell-like organ hanging from its neck. This organ is a flame sac, and when the Pokémon is about to attack, the temperature of the bell rises, and it eventually spits flames. It's a lethal creature. Incineroar has a belt formed from flames around its waist. This flame belt bursts into flames when its fighting spirit rises. Besides shooting fire from the belt and navel, it throws lethal kicks and punches during battle. Popplio. Popplio was introduced in the Generation 7 game, Pokémon Sun and Moon, as one of the first partner Pokémon. This water-type Pokémon has a hard-working nature and the ability to snort bubbles of water from its nose as part of its battle strategy. On land, the elasticity of the bubbles allows it to perform acrobatic stunts and jumps. Popplio's name is a combination of a sea lion pup and a Hawaiian monk seal. It evolves into a Brionne and then Primarina. Brionne's battle strategy consists of dancing while creating water balloons. It confuses its opponent through dancing and tosses the balloon at them sometime during the performance. Primarina also makes use of water balloons during battle. These water balloons are released as it dances and controlled by its voice. These balloons are sometimes explosive to touch. Grookey. Grookey is first seen in the Generation 8 Pokémon Sword and Shield. This small, monkey-like Pokémon has a green body, 2 leaf-shaped hair tufts that hold a stick atop its head, and hands and feet that make it easy to swing. The stick on its head can be used as a weapon of attack and defense, and it can also be used to grow grass. Grookey beats the stick rhythmically on surfaces, and it grows. Its green fur can also create energy from the sunlight, which gives the stick its unique power. This grass-type Pokémon's name is derived from a combination of groove and monkey. Grookey is a monkey that grooves. It becomes a Thwackey and then a Rillaboom when it evolves. Thwackey is a humanoid monkey with sticks holding up the leaves on its head. It knocks out its opponent by drumming out rapid beats of battle with its stick. Rillaboom always carries its signature drum on its back, which it pulls out when it's time for battle. The drum is made from a special tree stump, and when the Rillaboom drums on it, it taps into the stump's power, which causes the roots attached to it to follow the direction of the rhythm. These roots cause severe harm to its opponent. It has a Gingatomax form, which is introduced in the expansion pass for Pokémon Sword and Shield. Scorbunny. This fire-type Pokémon made its first appearance in the Generation 8 games Sword and Shield. Scorbunny is filled with energy, and its long legs give it the ability to run. It carries out a warm-up run before a fight to allow the fire energy to course through its body and give it full power. The special pads on the back of its feet and nose generate heat once it's in battle mode, so this Pokémon can start small fires with its feet. This rabbit-like creature got its name from its similarities to a bunny and its ability to scorch or burn. When it evolves, it becomes a Raboot, then a Cinderace. Raboot's fire comes from the bandage on its forehead and feet. This humanoid is quite skilled. As for Cinderace, it has great offensive and defensive capabilities. It can convert a pebble into a burning soccer ball by juggling it with its feet, and it's one of the best at explosive force, jumping ability, and kicking power. Sobble. One of the 3 first partner Pokémon in Generation 8 Sword and Shield, this water-type Pokémon is quite lizard-like. Sobble can camouflage in water, and due to its timid nature, it secretes water from its body to disappear into its surroundings. If threatened, it cries and spreads its tears around. Anyone who comes in contact with the tears would cry uncontrollably, giving the Pokémon an avenue to escape. It also eats berries to shoot out bullets of water from its mouth. Its name is derived from the words sob and bubble, and this is a good fit because it cries a lot and spurt out water from its mouth. The Pokémon first becomes a Drizzle before evolving into an Innerleon. Drizzle can attack its enemies with water balloons formed from the moisture it secretes from its palm. Innerleon has special lenses which allows it analyze its opponent's weaknesses and attack with water shot out of its fingertips at speed of light. Sprigatito. This grass-type Pokémon was introduced in Generation 9 Pokémon Scarlet and Violet. Its name might be a combination of sprig, a plant, and gatito, which is Spanish for kitten. The Pokémon does look like a cat, except that it's covered in green fur and leaf like vines as whiskers. This attention-seeking creature is a peacemaker. When it rubs its paws together, a sweet therapeutic aroma is released which causes even its worst enemies to stop battling. This sweet scent becomes even more potent beneath the sunlight. Sprigatito becomes Floragato, then a Meowscarada. The highly intelligent Floragato becomes a lethal weapon during battle because its fur can be converted to needles depending on its emotions. The Meowscarada is a grass/dark-type Pokémon that carries a 4-petaled green flower that grows into flower bombs that could be used to catch the opponents off guard. Fuecoco. This is a fire-type Pokémon introduced in the Generation 9 game Pokémon Scarlet and Violet. When the Fuecoco gets excited, the small flame sac in its body releases energy in the form of 2 bright yellow tufts of flame on top of its head. It also has scales on various parts of its body to absorb heat, which it would later convert to fire energy. Its name is derived from a combination of fuego, which is the Spanish term for fire, and cocodrilo, which means crocodile. And this sounds right because the Pokémon is basically a fire-emitting crocodile. When Fuecoco evolves, it becomes a Crocolore that has a nest of fire energy atop its head. The Crocolore is able to control the fire energy more, and it sends it out of its internal flame sac as it deems fit. It could even breathe fire as there's a valve that connects its flame sac to its mouth. So this Pokémon is a major tool for destruction. An evolved Crocolore is a Skeledirge, which is even more lethal. Instead of tufts or a nest of fire, this Pokémon has an orange fiery bird sitting on its head. In battle, Skeledirge activates this fiery bird by singing. As the singing intensifies, the flame on its wings intensifies, and it rushes to attack its enemies. One interesting thing about the Fuecoco and its evolved forms is that they all sleep with one eye closed. They are never to be caught unaware. Quaxly. This is a water-type Pokémon that was introduced in Generation 9. It is one of the first partner Pokémon in the game Scarlet and Violet. Quaxly can be identified through its yellow beak, blue eyes, and webbed feet. Its strong limbs are suitable for swimming in extreme currents and can serve as a weapon of defense. This Pokémon repeatedly kicks its enemies with swift speed. The name Quaxly is derived from the fact that it shares strong resemblance with a duck, a South American crested duck to be precise. At initial evolution, it becomes a hard-working water-type Pokémon called Quaxwell, who has longer and stronger limbs with which it runs and trains. It also has a crest above its head which could serve as a shield against incoming attacks. This Quaxwell then evolves into a Quaquaval. Quaquaval is also a water-fighting type Pokémon. This humanoid Pokémon bears features resembling that of a waterfowl, but it's so much more on the battlefield. In battle, the teardrop-shaped decorative water feathers that are spread out across its back move forward and spin around the Quaquaval's body to make a buzzsaw-like arrangement. These feathers are lethal when arranged this way, as it could be used to slice into its enemy. Just like its predecessors, it also has incredible strength in its leg. It could send a truck flying with just a single kick. So which is your favorite Pokémon? Kindly let us know in the comments section. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. See you in the next video.